Obviously, I'm a Yankees fan, so I'd love to see him.
It's almost like legacy of like the NFL versus.
But I definitely think that Baker could be a really good player for the Panthers moving forward.
Did I say Oreos?
There's a lot of questions I have about Mahomes. Looks like a kid playing Madden.
Turning point in the game is the 13-second drive.
They play very hard, even though they're terrible.
He's a good pick. For sure. He's going to be a good player. But I can't argue against the Jamar Chase pick.
They made moves saying we're going to win this year, at least get into the playoffs.
I'm going with my guy, Corey Seager. So glad.
What's good, y'all? My name is Austin Drummond, and I play rugby for the University of Notre Dame. And you're listening to The Outsider's Opinion with Austin and Kevin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. It's been a little bit in an intriguing cycle, but I forgot to do this on our last video that was after March 1st. The voiceover machine, Austin.
Kevin, I'm kind of shocked by some of the NFL hirings and some of the firings for that matter, but it's kind of settled down, and I think these are going to be the moves that we see. I don't think anyone else gets fired, right?
Yeah, I doubt it. And I think we were pretty sure McCarthy was going to get fired, but the Cowboys decided to keep him. We did a video on that. And yeah, man, I'll let you decide. But man, what an interesting list. And I know how I feel about some names. For some, I'm like, I don't know. So we'll get to the grade on that.
Yeah, so we're doing Callahan.
Yeah, we can do Callahan. We can choose whoever. But yeah, Callahan is a name. I got a bad grade on this one.
I do as well. He's actually my second lowest graded head coaching hire. I have it as a C.
I also have it a C. He's tied with another coach. It's a C because I'm comparing him to Mike Vrabel.
Yep, that's kind of how I did it. Is who are they losing? And what was on the market that impacted both? Those are the two metrics I really looked at when I decided my grade.
Yeah, I looked like, okay, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about the team fit? What is the team expecting? And I get the direction you want to go offense, but Mike Vrabel, I think, is one of the best coaches. And I can't believe he was not signed by another team. It could have been on him too, where he's like, I'm going to wait for the right job for me. And just to choose, and this guy wasn't even offensive coordinator, right? Brian Callahan. I want to say he was like the quarterback coach for the Bengals.
Yeah, I think he was the quarterback coach.
And I don't get it. I don't think Zach Taylor was a guy that had an offensive coordinator job. I also don't believe Andy Reid was, but Andy Reid had been in a team for a while. I've been with a lot of teams, and I don't get this hiring.
Yeah, he was the quarterbacks coach for the Raiders and the Lions.
Oh, Raiders, but was he also on the Bengals this past year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's been the offensive coordinator for the Bengals.
Oh, he was the offensive coordinator. Okay, I take back what I said. But still, man, Mike Vrabel is just such a great coach. And he's got big shoes to fill. I don't know what the Titans are doing. I get the direction. Is it the direction I like? No, because you had Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So we're in agreement. C. Let's go with Patriots and Gerard Mayo.
I went with B.
Okay.
I'm not sold, but I also like it because it's a former Patriots player that knows the quote-unquote Patriot way. So I think that he can maintain some level of Bill Belichick-ness to his team without being Bill Belichick. But I don't think it's the greatest hire.
I'm a little bit higher than you. I gave it an A-. I kind of like it. I know we're talking about big shoes to fill with Mike Vrabel. Belichick, I think he just dealt with a lot, and he wasn't the GM. It'd be different. But I like Gerard Mayo for many things you said, and he knows what he needs to do. And I think he's a guy that he's like, I'm not going to be Belichick. I'm going to be myself. And there's going to be facets of Bill Belichick in him, but he's not going to try to repeat Belichick. He's going to be himself. I like the direction. I think they needed a new voice, and I think Mayo provides a really good voice, and he's going to be a really good coach, and I like this fit.
Yeah, I think it's good. That's what B means. I'm not sold though.
Okay. I'm sold on it, which is an A. I didn't give out many of those. And I'll let you choose the next coach.
So let's go to Antonio Pierce. I didn't have him on my list initially, but he is technically hired as the new head coach because he was the interim before. I had this as my highest rated head coaching hire as an A+. My only A+, and it's one of 3 A's. And I like it because of how he's setting the foundation for a good team. The way he's handling the team already. And while he does have the advantage of already being there, so I couldn't have seen these things with other coaches yet, but the way that he is bringing back some of the old players, old legends from the Raiders into the system, kind of talking through the coaches and setting up themselves for the future. While I'm not necessarily confident about how the Raiders will do this next season, I do feel like Antonio Pierce is the right head coach for the job.
Looks like you and I are on the same page. He's my highest graded coach, A+ as well, only 3 A's. You and I usually differ on grading, but we're kind of on the same page with this one. Because I had him on because I really thought the Raiders were going to do something dumb and be like, we're going to go after a different coach. They had the same thing with the coach before McDaniel. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Rich Bisaccia, I want to say.
Yeah.
Do you want to double check that or?
I can, yeah.
Okay, but he filled in. He has that voice. He's been with the team, and I'm not sure if Max Crosby didn't say anything, the Raiders would not have hired Pierce. But it's the right move. Let's go. All right. That was a good callback for me. But Antonio Pierce, he's a guy that knows his voice. He's a guy that's, like you said, setting this foundation. He's really empowering the players. He may have to make some tough decisions with players, but he's getting the best out of them. I like this confidence. And he may not be the great X's and O's guy, but it seems like he's finding people to do that for him, which I'm really excited to see. And he does have an edge. We've seen this, but it's still a decision the Raiders had to make, and it's a good decision from them, in my opinion.
Yeah. All I'll say is that he definitely had an advantage because he was the interim coach last year. So I do think that his ratings may be a little bit skewed by that, but I definitely am very confident about how he's going to lead this team into the future.
Yeah, and then where do you want to go now?
Let's go to my second highest rated coach, Dave Canales. What he's done already with Geno in Seattle and then now Baker this last year, he knows how to develop young quarterbacks, or not even young quarterbacks, how to develop quarterbacks from where they were before into a new system. And I think he could do the same thing with Bryce Young. This is a coach he needs and can really help his development turn into the player he was supposed to be originally.
So you and I jinxed this. We disagree heavily on this one. He's actually a C for me, mostly because of the Panthers. And you bring up great points with Dave Canales. I just don't know if the Panthers are going to give him much time. And it just seems like they're very quick.
Does that impact the hiring, though?
I guess. I don't know how I feel about it, and I'm a little bit more negative to it just because I don't know the direction the Panthers are going.
It's just the last two quarterbacks he had. 2022, Geno Smith. When Geno Smith, he was the quarterbacks coach. Geno Smith obviously became a Pro Bowler. Last year, he's the offensive coordinator for the Bucs. Baker becomes a Pro Bowler. Now he's going to Bryce Young and the Panthers. That's 3 straight years of success with quarterbacks. And while maybe it takes a little bit longer because of the age of Bryce Young, this is who you need to hire. This is the guy that you're going to hire because of the confidence you have in your young quarterback.
Okay, I'm gonna revise it to a C plus, B minus. It was good. Yeah, I don't know what the Panthers are doing, but from what you say, it seems like a good direction. But I just want to see what he does with Bryce Young, and this is going to take a lot more. He's got to lay the foundation of the culture too.
It's a tough job, but I think he's the right man for it.
Okay. He seems like a good candidate, C plus, but I think there are better ones out there. So we'll go to another guy. I'm gonna go Raheem Morris. I'm as a B minus. I like him defensively, but he's got a lot of work to do on setting the culture. So he's similar to Dave Canales for me.
Yeah, I have him as a C plus, so this one we kind of agree on, but it's more because of the way they decided to go. Raheem Morris is a defensive guy, and if you're going to go defense, why not go Vrabel or Bill Belichick? I just feel like the other guys on the table, and Canales was a interim head coach for the Falcons back in 2020, so he's coached here before. And he also was the head coach. Where was he the head coach before?
Morris, I want to say the Buccaneers.
The Bucs, yep. So he's already been a head coach before, and he was the interim head coach, like I said, for the Falcons back in 2020. He's now back there. I just feel like there was better options on the defensive side. If you're going to go defense, why not go Vrabel or Belichick? I have him as a C plus because I still think he's a quality coach. It's just I don't know if he was the right choice, if that was the direction they wanted to go. Maybe it was because he wanted some familiarity with the roster, with some of the players. But I don't know if that's most important at this time.
Yes, we're in a similar vein. There were other candidates out here, better candidates. As I would have, Belichick still would have been good. I'm a little bit more high on Vrabel, but Morris was still a good candidate. It's just this is going to be a tough job, and I hope the Falcons don't rush things with him.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Because compared to the other previous defensive coordinator for the Rams, where Morris was for 2 years, he has more time as a defense, and a defense that experienced a lot more turnover compared to Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
And now I'll let you choose the next guy.
I mean, you mentioned Brandon Staley. Why not we go to Jim Harbaugh?
I have a B plus. Is he a good coach? Yes. Do I think it's the right fit for the Chargers? Not really.
I really struggle with this one. I like what he could do to Justin Herbert because he's had a lot of success with quarterbacks, not just in college, but obviously in the NFL. I have him as an A minus, so we're getting very close on this. He's my third best hire, but I feel like if Vrabel or Belichick would have got hired, I would have had him above him. So it's not like he's the best option available. I think it's interesting. I think it could work, but I also don't think it's the best.
Yeah, did he deserve a head coaching job in the NFL? Yes. And I can see the appeal of the Chargers. It's just, I don't know if he's a guy that can take what they have right now and make them automatically a better team with just their ability, like Vrabel, in my opinion, can. Because Vrabel kept that defense up for the Titans, even after they experienced injuries, even after they traded Byard. And I would have loved to see him with the Chargers.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him there as well.
But yeah, so I think he's a good coach. Is he a great coach? No, that's why he's a B plus. And I think it's going to take a little bit more time for him to get the right players in there for him to have his team. I don't think they can automatically hit the ground running, which is, I think we can both agree on what the Chargers needed to do with their coach was find a guy where we can compete this season realistically, and I don't think they can do that next year.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It's all fun and game. That's pretty of it. Now we'll go with. It looks like we only have a few coaches. We'll go with Seattle. Mike Macdonald. I'm pretty high on this. A for me with Seattle.
This is the one where we go opposites again. I have it as C minus. I like him as a coach. The problem is I don't know if he could do more than what Pete Carroll did. I don't think they needed a new voice. Pete Carroll has the past couple of years with less talent on the roster than a lot of people doubted him, has created a playoff contending team. He's been very good in developing rookies. He's been very good in developing Geno Smith and this offense to become better than a lot of people anticipated. They've won tough games against tough opponents with maybe not the best roster, but it's going to be tough for Mike McDaniel to McDonald to repeat that.
Yeah, I really like McDonald defensively. I like the idea of them staying defensively. It seems like Pete Carroll kind of just one of these like
Pete Carroll didn't want to leave. It wasn't his choice.
Oh, he didn't. Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah. He's going. He said in an interview that they basically kind of forced his hand to move up to upper management, but that if they wanted him back as a coach, he definitely would have returned.
That's weird. Yeah, I agree with you. They didn't really need a new voice. I liked what Pete Carroll was doing. I feel like McDonald is a good follow-up to Carroll. He was with the Ravens in 22-23 as the defensive coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator for Michigan in 2021. I like his idea defensively, and I think that's going to be their identity. And I think he's going to choose a good OC to be for their offense, to help direct their offense. So I really like this direction. I think he's an up-and-coming guy. I was intrigued they didn't go with Dan Quinn, but to me that makes me believe, like, okay, they trust McDonald more than Quinn defensively, as Quinn struggled last year.
We'll have to see. I just don't necessarily think it was the best move, considering that they already have Carroll.
Yeah, especially if they were getting rid of Carroll. I thought Carroll was like, I'm getting up in age. I'm going to move up. So I believe we just have Dan Quinn left.
Yep.
This one's a B-. I get the direction, and Dan Quinn did great with the Cowboys defense. However, I kind of soured on him at the end. Maybe it was effort. Maybe he didn't care anymore. He struggles against the run. So that's just something you can point back to the Super Bowl when the Patriots decided to go in 12 personnel and just ground and pound and then go out of that. It's going to be a tough culture, but he's come into different cultures and building up those defenses. However, he's going to have to need a good OC. And I just think that Washington could have gone differently. And this is also a weird move for him too, because he'd been waiting out. And I'm like, you're really going to choose Washington over other teams? It just seemed like he's like, I've waited this long. I want to be a head coach again. I'm going to take this Washington job. So it's an okay hire for me. That's why it's a B-.
B+. I think he's good. They're staying with defense after having Ron Rivera. I like it because I know why. I feel like it's not just because you want to get back into it, but it's also interdivision rivals with the Cowboys. And I feel like he wanted the Cowboys job. I think that he felt like he deserved it, and that the reason why they weren't winning is obviously what was happening outside of his control. So with McCarthy or otherwise.
Well, he could have.
So, say again?
I think there are moments the defense could have stood up and they would have had to carry more weight. And I just don't think they did that. And I kind of blame him for that. Because I think of the Dolphins game. I think of the what game? I'm thinking of the Lions game. I know Jordan Lewis did get, you could blame that. And then I'm thinking of the Packers game. The defense just did not play well.
But it seemed like it wasn't all defensive points that or defense giving up points. There were pick six thrown by Dak, a lot of interceptions thrown by Dak. The offense definitely wasn't there either. I know they scored 32 points, but that was at the very end of the game. The game was over, and the offense was the reason why the Packers scored 14 points because there was a pick that the Cowboys threw that ended up in the red zone, and then obviously the pick six Dak threw. So I blame more of the offense than I do on the defense.
Okay. And my thing is, there was a clear, like I brought it up in the Packers. Packers have a great run game, and he just could not stop the run, and he didn't really make a change to it. That's my problem with Dan Quinn at the end of this season.
I feel like there was more issues with McCarthy than there was with Quinn.
Okay, got it. There are issues with McCarthy, but I'm also like, Dan Quinn could have done more. I feel he could have done more. But yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to jump in and say that.
No, it's all good. We'll see. I think it's a good move. He stays inside the division. It's just, will he get commitment from the new ownership?
Yeah, you do bring up a great point. Like, he probably did want that Cowboys job, but we'll just have to see. And yeah, well, because it is a weird, but yeah, there could be some bad blood. And yeah, I look forward to the Cowboys pounding the rock against his defense.
We'll see.
I'll let you close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. How would you guys grade these coaching hires? Which one was your favorite? Which one was your least favorite? And please catch us in our next video.